Byron Amos, Jason Dozier, Liliana Bakhtiari, Alex Wan, Howard Shook, Mary Norwood, Dustin Hillis, Andrea Boone, Marcy Collier Overstreet. Quorum present.
Oh, hold on. Wait. Number 12.
I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Antonio Lewis.
I'll be running down her name. Let's go.
Thank you. Next, we will move to the adoption of the agenda. The agenda was sent out ahead of time. I would note that the second proclamation will not be happening today. But are there any changes to the agenda? If none, I would entertain a motion to adopt. Moved by Councilmember Lewis. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Westmoreland. Is there any discussion on the adoption of the agenda? We can do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection to the adoption of the agenda? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent on the motion to adopt.
Unanimous consent is 10 yeas, 0 nays.
10 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt the agenda carries. Next on the agenda is the invocation. We do not have a guest today, but I would, in the spirit of reflection, take any condolences that folks would like to offer before we take a brief moment of silence. Do any of my colleagues have anyone they want to lift up? Councilmember Lewis.
I'd like to lift up the family of Beanie Anderson, the family of Darrell Anderson. They lost his father this weekend. I also would like to lift up any and everybody who died in the getting the day of Juneteenth, in the celebrating of Juneteenth. I want to lift up every Black American, everybody in America on that day.
Thank you. Any others? Well, for these and for those unnamed, would you please join me in a brief moment of silence? Thank you. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We will now move to proclamations, commendations, and other special awards. Councilmember Dozier, you want me to go first? Okay. So we're going to just change the order slightly because we have some guests coming. So I would actually invite everyone who is here in recognition of Immigrant Heritage Month to come up on the dais, and any of my colleagues who might want to join in this proclamation, please join me up at the podium. Thank you. I have to say I'm very humbled to be the one standing here. There are many folks on council who have personal connections to various immigrant communities who live in Atlanta. As many of you know, I am married to a daughter of immigrants, but we have those who are sons and daughters, grandchildren of immigrants. And on the stage are many of our wonderful leaders from wonderful organizations, LAA and the Latino Community Foundation, others who are here. I'm so excited. This is Immigrant Heritage Month. Atlanta is what it is because of folks who have decided to be Atlantans, who have chosen to be in this place. who have built their lives and their families, often learning languages, learning cultures, but also bringing languages and bringing cultures and bringing traditions to make what is the modern Atlanta. So in recognition of Immigrant Heritage Month, we wanted to take just a moment and present a proclamation generally. So I'm going to read it. It's a short one, so I'm actually going to read it. It says, the Atlanta City Council, in recognition of Immigrant Heritage Month, whereas the Atlanta City Council is pleased to recognize Immigrant Heritage Month as we reflect on the strength and spirit of immigrants that have been passed down through families and infused in our nation, and whereas generations of immigrants from every corner of the globe have built our country's economy and created the new unique character of our nation, and whereas immigrants continue to grow businesses, innovation, strengthen our economy, and create American jobs in the city of Atlanta, and whereas immigrants have provided the United States with unique social and cultural influence, fundamentally enriching the extraordinary character of our nation, and whereas the role of immigrants in building and enriching our nation must be championed and celebrated today and beyond. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the members of the Atlanta City Council, on behalf of the citizens of Atlanta, do hereby declare the month of June 2023 as Immigrant Heritage Month in the city of Atlanta, and it is signed by myself and all members of council. Thank you all for what you do for our incredible community. We can give them a round of applause. Before I turn the microphone over, I just want to ask if any of my colleagues want to make a brief comment. Councilmember Faroki, I thought you might. Come on up.
Thank you, Council President Shipman. I just want to stand up and echo a lot of what you said. I'm the child of an immigrant, and just want to acknowledge that in our city that in which immigrant voices oftentimes get lost in the public policy framing and debate. I just want to thank you all for being here because each of you is part of the fabric of our city and who we are. And the immigrant experience is diverse and varied and not monolithic, but yet I think for every immigrant, there is a story of great spirit and resilience and perseverance and hope that permeates part of what it means to be American and Atlantan, but without which success and I think long-term happiness would not be possible for first generation, second generation immigrants in this country. So I just want to say thank you to President Shipman for today's proclamation, for all of you for coming down and for being part of our community. So.
Any other members of council? Okay, with that, I'm going to turn over the microphone. I'm actually hoping that several folks are going to speak because we have some real heavyweights here, but I'll turn it over.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jaime Rangel, and I am the Regional Government Relations Director with Forward.us. We are a national bipartisan organization working to reform our nation's broken immigration and criminal justice system. I want to thank President Doug Shipman and the members of the Atlanta City Council for issuing this proclamation recognizing June as Immigrant Heritage Month. I also want to take time to recognize Vanessa Avira and the amazing team of the Mayor's Office of International and Immigrant Affairs from welcoming Atlanta for all the great work they do. And I also want to thank all our partners on this stage. There's a lot of folks that couldn't be here today, unfortunately, due to timing constraints. But a lot of these folks, they do amazing work in our city and our state where they promote and promote friendly immigrant policies alongside our state leaders and local leaders as well. IHM is a nationwide effort during the month of June each year to gather and share the inspirational stories of immigrants and the unique, diverse heritage of millions of people across America. Spearheaded by the I Stand With Immigrant campaign by Forward.us, this year marks a full decade of sharing the diversity that forms the unique story of America. The Atlanta immigrant community brings immense value to our state's culture and economy. We have all witnessed the contributions of immigrants as we have all indulged in the city's amazing cuisine, when we root for our sports teams, or when we look at our skyscrapers as they reach the heavens. The contributions of immigrants all around us in every vital sector of our city's economy. While we reflect on the celebrations of immigrant communities this month, I also want to remind everyone that the work's not done. But I want to assure that the great people of this city, that everyone on this stage will remain committed to working alongside every single one of you to ensure our city remains strong and prosperous for anyone seeking a better tomorrow. Thank you again, President Doug Shipman. I want to thank the mayor and the amazing city council here for being strong supporters of immigrants. May God bless you all, and may God bless our great city.
Anybody else? Well, let me just also echo, Vanessa Ibarra and her team do such an amazing job of making sure that various communities who are here in Atlanta are connected, our consul generals connecting the officials to their communities, and just generally creating such a welcoming environment. So if we could just give the mayor's team a round of applause, and Vanessa, for great work. And with that, we will take a picture. We will commemorate the moment. Let's step forward. Next, I'm going to ask Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet to come forward, and all of those in recognition of Rich Wilkins Men's Focus Week also to come and join us on the dais, please.
Thank you, men. Okay, thank you all for coming to City Hall today. I appreciate that, because today we are here in recognition of Men's Focus Week. And but for this gentleman here, Rich Wilkins, we would not have that. So some 20 years ago, the men of Cascade United Methodist Church, the church where I was married and I belong, thought it would be appropriate to honor the great service of men that were providing by virtue of the church and out into the community. To honor their dedication, entrepreneur Rich Wilkins proposed a Men's Focus Week to shine the light on these men during the week of June. And it is not lost on us that Father's Day was just this past Sunday. So this is the perfect week to celebrate Men's Focus Week. And the proclamation reads, whereas the Atlanta City Council is pleased to recognize Men's Focus Week, a week dedicated to shining a light on great men who have exhibited and continue to show great courage, service as living examples of dignity and love, and to make our world a better place for all. And whereas, under the leadership of Rich Wilkins, Men's Focus Week was formed at Cascade United Methodist Church as a week to honor the men of the church for their dedicated service. The focus has now been extended beyond the church to also shine a light on the sacrifices and service that men have provided throughout Atlanta. And whereas the Men's Focus Week emphasizes the many contributions, displays of courage and sacrifices that our men have made in Atlanta, we respect men for all walks of life for their influential role in their homes and in the growth of our city. Whereas we congratulate the efforts of our men who are serving as mentors to our youth, this week is a chance for men around the globe to teach the boys of their in their lives the values, characters, and responsibilities of being a man. And whereas during this week, male role models are invited to set examples of health, well-being, and integrity for young men. When men lead by example, they help to create a fair and safe society. Their positive actions all allow everyone to prosper. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the members of the Atlanta City Council, on behalf of the citizens of Atlanta, do hereby recognize Men's Focus Week and applaud the strength and leadership of our men who are inspirational beacons and help to improve the lives of others by eradicating injustice in our great city. This is signed by President Shipman and all of our city council. This is certainly a relevant time, to say the least. We are going through quite an era here, not just in Atlanta, but the world. And it is the men that I believe is going to make a huge difference right alongside the women. And so thank you very much, Mr. Wilkins, for all that you have done to make sure that our men are right in it with us all. So I would like for anyone that would like to speak on Men Focus Week from the wonderful Cascade United Methodist, and welcome Joe Carnes as well. He's a council member from College Park. Would you like to speak first, or? Ladies first. Okay, ladies first. So if anyone that would like to speak, Bobby Powell, who is the president of the Cascade Merchants Business Association. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Councilwoman and President Shipman. When I was asked to give a recommendation for Men's Focus Week, without question, Rich Wilkins came to mind. When I tell you that although I am the president of Cascade Business and Merchants Association, Rich is our vice president. And with the leadership that Rich offers us through the various organizations that he's been involved with to help businesses make choice decisions, businesses like Coca-Cola, businesses like clinics, one moment, please, I'm sorry. The clean tech industries, Atlanta Housing Authority. He's a member or graduate of the famous Amos Tuck University. So Rich is well deserving of this the first Men's Focus Week proclamation. So with that, we applaud you, Rich, and all of the work that you do for us.
I'd also like to acknowledge Catherine Rowell. Dr. Rowell is the council member for City of South Fulton, District 1. You have anything you'd like to share?
It is my honor to celebrate Mr. Rich Wilkins. His work with the Cascade BMA, as well as Men's Focus Week, is something that we should all applaud. I'm just honored to be an advisory member and here to support you today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Captain Hattie Tooks from City of South Fulton Police Department.
Oh, so we also have Captain Tooks from City of South Fulton Police Department. So, thank you.
I tell you, Bobby couldn't have picked a better person. Rich, he's almost like my administrative assistant. He reminds each one of us where we need to be and when we need to be there. And believe it or not, he's always on time. And I'll never forget when I didn't have anyone to pray at the National Night Out. I said, Rich, you're it. And he stepped up and he prayed with so much power that it really made the National Night Out be the best of the best. And I congratulate you. in your roles and wearing all your hats.
Thank you, Captain. Before we hear from Rich, is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay, Councilmember Carnes.
Thank you, Councilwoman Overstreet, President, Councilwoman Boone. Rich, most of us know him well in the community. He is a textbook example of the difference between a workhorse and a show horse. There are a lot of show horses, but he is definitely a workhorse. Personally, I find Rich to be a God-fearing man who desires nothing but the best for his family and his community, and he has proven that time and time again, so well-deserved, well-deserved. All right.
Thank you. So now, if Mr. Wilkins can come forward and speak for just a moment. Thank you.
All right, let's see. Just a moment it will be. So where it all started, you've heard the proclamation. It started at Cascade United Methodist Church. When I went to the church and joined the church, I noticed that most of the attention was with the women and the young people. Certainly that was important, but also the men. And so I went to Pastor Kimbrough and I said, Pastor Kimbrough, we need to honor the men. And he said, well, what are you thinking? I said, Men's Focus Week. He said, a week? I don't know if you can get them for an hour. And I said, all right, as I slowly walked out the room, I said, the Holy Spirit gave that to me, Pastor Kimbrough. He said, let's run it. All right. So it's been supported by Pastor Moss, and certainly today, I call him Pastor K. Dr. Kevin Muriel continues to support it. And so that this is something that I receive for the men, so that in turn that we can set that example. It takes 1 + 1 + 1 to make a difference in this here, not only Atlanta, but in our country, to make a difference for the youth. That's what it's all about. They need to see us. They need to be a part of what we do, because it's all about 1 + 1 + 1. I thank you all.
Well said, well said. Goodness, I really mean it. Like, this is a relevant time. Role models, especially men, very needed. Thank you. Let's all step forward and take a picture.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our final proclamation today, I'd ask Councilmember Jason Dozier to come forward, and all of those associated with the proclamation in recognition of Parks and Recreation Month to please come forward.
Good afternoon. I'm Councilmember Jason Dozier. I chair the Community Development and Human Services Committee, and so I was asked to present a proclamation on behalf of the Department of Parks and Recreation in recognition of Parks and Recreation Month. I will say that to just proclaim this Parks and Recreation Month does not do y'all any service, because the work y'all have been putting in, not only day in, day out, weekend and year out, weekend and week out, month in and month out, but also year in and year out, has just been remarkable. I don't think we've ever seen this much excitement about our city's park system in this city in a very long time. And it's just been amazing to see all the work y'all have been doing to step up to the challenge of getting our parks activated, getting our young people back in our park spaces, getting our pools back reopened, and just doing everything y'all are doing every day to make this, our city's parks, the best parks in the country, let alone the region. So I just want to say I appreciate y'all for being here today. And one thing I'll share before I read the proclamation, Commissioner Cutler has heard me say this because he was there, but we did our District 4 Town Hall at Reverend James Orange Park in Oakland City just a couple weeks ago. And I will tell you, I mean, it was a nice 75, 80 degrees. So it was already a gorgeous day, but to be in that park, to do a town hall in the pavilion, and then see some of the young people out there on the splash pad, and see some of the kids out there on the playground, and see some of the older adults out there on the tennis courts, and then see a gathering of community members who were reflecting one of their lost ones, and they're doing a balloon release, and just have all this activity and excitement happening in the park at that one time was one of the most beautiful things I've seen since I've been in this office. So I'm so thankful for you all, for the work y'all have done to make our parks even better. I know they're going to be even better, especially with our budget that we're going to be voting on today. But I just appreciate you all for everything that y'all are doing. And so with that, in recognition of Parks and Recreation Month, whereas the Atlanta City Council is pleased to recognize the City of Atlanta Department of Parks and Recreation in observance of Park and Recreation Month 2023, and whereas Park and Recreation Month is celebrated to promote building strong, vibrant, and resilient communities through the power of parks and recreation, which are an integral part of several neighborhoods in Atlanta. And whereas we take the time during this month to recognize the full-time parks and recreation professionals, along with hundreds and thousands of part-time and seasonal workers and volunteers that maintain our local, state, and community parks. And whereas this year's theme, Where Community Grows, celebrates the vital role that parks and recreation professionals play in bringing people together, providing essential services, and fostering the growth of our communities. And whereas parks and recreation professionals advocate for time spent in nature, which positively impacts mental health by increasing cognitive performance, well-being, and alleviating illnesses such as depression, attention deficit disorders, and more. And whereas by increasing a community's economic prosperity, parks and recreations help raise property value, add to expansion of the local tax base, attracts tourism, and helps retain and draw businesses while also bringing crime reduction. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the members of the Atlanta City Council, on behalf of the citizens of Atlanta, do hereby recognize July as Park and Recreation Month here in the city of Atlanta, and this has been signed by all members of the City Council and the City Council President. Before I give the floor to our wonderful Commissioner, Justin Cutler, I do want to give my colleagues an opportunity to say a few words. Councilman Lewis, and then Councilman Bond.
Now, one time for Parks and Recreation, one more time. I will say I'm a Park and Rec baby. When I heard Councilmember Dozier say that a recreation center helps your property value go up, I'm a direct person for that. I remember when Southeast Recreation Center was built. I remember what it did to the community. It's now called Roselle Fan, but I've seen that happen. So I'm extremely excited and proud to be and honored to be a city council member as we see the most influx of dollars into parks and recreation in the history of our city. To see this growth is next level, and I'm happy to be a part of this council and the City Year of the Youth. So let's go. Let's keep congratulating our young folks. Let's keep investing in our young folks, and let's invest in the workers who are investing in our young folks, because y'all are hugging on them every day. So thank y'all for y'all service, and I can't wait to see what we do next.
Councilmember Bond.
Thank you, Councilmember Dozier. I want to thank the men and women of the great Parks and Recreation Department for the work that you do on behalf of our youth. The first job I ever had was working for Parks and Recreation. I was 13 years old. I worked for a man by the name of Eddie Murphy, at who the field at former John F. Kennedy Middle School was named for in the Camp Best Friends program, that version of the Year of the Youth. And so for the investment that you all are making in the Year of the Youth to provide recreation space, not only for everybody in all walks of life, I just want to say thank you. You know, it will pay dividends. The first toilet I ever cleaned was in the pool down there at John F. Kennedy. I didn't even clean the toilet at home, you know. But Mr. Murphy said, "You'll clean that one," and I did. But it was good for me. But I just, all levity aside, I just want to say thank you and admire the work that you're doing and waiting to see the results pay the dividends on the children and young people that you all invest in. God bless you and thank you for your work.
Thank you. Councilmember Overstreet and then Councilmember Boone.
Thank you, Councilmember Dozier. And thank you, Parks and Recs, not just for all of the things that my council members just said, all of that for sure, but thank you for helping us directly change the zip code disparity with health. That's what I decided in 2018 when I first got on council and fell in love with all of my parks. I said, I'm going to invest a whole lot of time and a whole lot of energy and a whole lot of partnership in the park space. And I appreciate you all for coming on board with that. We know that if you live in 30331 or 30311, your health is not the same as other zip codes according to data. Like, this is data driven, that I'm supposed to live almost 20 years shorter than someone else that lives in Atlanta on a different side of town. And I think that parks and the way that we're doing it now under your leadership is going to make a difference in those numbers. And that's why it's important to me. And it's fun. Last Friday, I want to thank you all so much for coming to Cascade Springs Nature Preserve and making that place absolutely amazing. We are showcasing the work that we're doing, and you all helped me do that. And you pull rabbits out of the hat, and I appreciate that. And I just want to make sure you all know how much I appreciate this department. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Boone.
I would like to thank you all for getting it done, making it work. You all make the city of Atlanta work. Thank you, Miss Lady, for coming back. Let me hug her. C.T. Martin loved her. She was there every youth fest. We had at Wilson Mill Park. We served so many people, and you were right there on the front line. So thank you, Latasha. Quentin, I said I'm not going to call any names. I'm not going to call any names, but Doug Voss, Quentin, Alvin, Preachy, Coco. Let's give Coco a hand. Coco, you went through a lot. Coco, you went through a lot. You went through a lot. I said Tish. Did I say Tish? Who kept the after-school program going at C.T. Martin. Didn't mind asking for ink pens, pencils, cookies for the children. You all just get it done. And I just want to thank you all from the bottom of our hearts, keeping the parks clean, keeping programs, Commissioner always meeting with the community, our photographers, everybody that was there for midnight basketball. Let's give these folks a big round of applause. And a special thank you to Mr. Doug Voss, wherever he is. Hi, Doug. Thank you for all you do. He answers the calls. He is just a phenomenal person. Again, congratulations. You all deserve this and so much more. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other colleagues? All right, Commissioner Cutler.
Great. Well, thank you, Councilmember Dozier, and thank you all to all the council members that spoke on our behalf. It is truly an honor to be here today to celebrate Parks and Recreation Month, the month of July every year. And on behalf of the men and women of the Parks and Recreation Department, thank you. It is an honor to receive these compliments and just the accolades on behalf of the team, and I'm glad they can be here today. But to the men and women who are out working in our parks right now, guarding our lifeguard, guarding our pools, and providing services, to them we give our biggest heartfelt thanks to each of them who are serving our young people, our seniors, our adults, and taking care of our kids. So thank you. Just real quick, I want to read off some numbers because at the end of the day, you know, it's about how are we meeting the needs of our community members. And we do this collectively through our parks, through our recreation centers, through our programs, through our different special events that we have. And over the years, you know, we service over 4,000 acres of parks, over 33 recreation centers. We have 4 indoor pools, 12 outdoor pools, 6 spray parks, 182 tennis courts, 4 golf courses, over 365 parks that we maintain on a daily basis. Truly impressive. 5 dog parks, 4 miles of mountain bike trails at Southside Park. If you haven't been there, they're beautiful. 75 basketball courts, 110 ball fields, 136 playgrounds that you can go and get active at with your young person. 2 skate parks, 5 tennis centers, and 1 disc golf course at Perkinson Park. So we have a lot going on, and on behalf of the men and women of the Department of Parks and Recreation, thank you. Thank you for this recognition. Thank you for this proclamation. And come out and join us at our 365 parks or our 33 recreation centers and have a great time with us. We're happy to serve and be there for you. So thank you.
All right, now if everyone will join me in the front, we'll take us a picture. And I think it's the last proclamation, so that'll take us into our business. So let's knock it out.
Thank you all. Next, we'll move to public comment. Councilmember Bond, would you like to make a motion?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to acknowledge that we're joined by a former alumnus of this body, the Honorable Gloria Brumell-Tinubu, Dr. Gloria Brumell-Tinubu, and like to make a motion to allow her to speak, extend the courtesy for her as a former member of the body.
Second. There's a motion and a second to move around the order. If we can do this via unanimous consent, is there any objection to simply moving around the order? Without objection, Madam Clerk, could you please sound the count on unanimous consent? Oh. We do.
Unanimous consent is 9 yeas, 0 nays.
9 yeas, 0 nays. 9 yeas, 0 nays. The motion carries. Madam Tinubu, please come forward. You'll have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here with you today. It's been over 30 years since I was elected to the City Council. I represented the seat that my young friend Antonio Lewis now holds. And of course, I served with Michael Julian Bond in his first term. And so this is a little bit of a reunion. And I know Andrea Boone, of course, I know Keisha Waits, and I know several other people here. It's such an honor to be here. I wanted to come before you today to talk with you about the NPU system. I became involved in city government through the NPU. I live in NPU-Z. And that's how I got my start in the public arena. And I was looking at the fact that next year we'll be celebrating 50 years. In June 2024 will be exactly 50 years since Maynard Jackson instituted the neighborhood planning unit system. They used to, when they first instituted it, it was called neighborhood planning committees. But I don't think people realize that the purpose of those committees, that structure wasn't just for physical planning, land use and zoning and that kind of thing. They also called for social planning, right? Which includes healthcare, as we talked about earlier, cultural and education and recreation that we talked about earlier. But in addition to that, that structure allowed for neighborhoods to involve in economic planning, the flow of money, jobs, employment, businesses in our community. So as an economist and a former professor at Spelman for nearly 20 years, I'm coming to talk to you about that. I've started an institute called the Institute for Community Economists, and I'm training people, everyday people, to understand how their local economy works, and so that they can be fully engaged. And I just thought that because we have the 50th anniversary coming up and within a year, this is a good time for us to really get involved in economic planning. So I just wanted you to be aware of it. I've sent the notices out to all of the members of the NPUs. I offer the course 4 times a year. I'm semi-retired, but still working at Tuskegee. I'm a remote employee of Tuskegee University. But I do this because I have a passion for this kind of work, community economics. And so I have a class that's starting this Friday. If you want to become involved, it's for 4 consecutive Fridays. And then the 5th Friday, you get to present your plan for your community and you get your certificate from the Institute. I've done it for Tuskegee last October, and I've been doing it on a small level since then. But I wanted to offer it to the city of Atlanta because we have some challenges in the city of Atlanta. I don't want to overstep my time.
Yeah, time has expired.
Okay, time is how much time?
You have 2 minutes.
For former elected officials?
4 minutes. No, by code it is not. It's only current elected officials.
Okay. Well, I'll just I'll sit down. I'll give you the information in terms of where you can go to find out more about it. It's communityeconomists with an S.com, and you can sign up for free for training that starts this Friday. And if you're not able to do it this time, I'll be running the classes again in October. All right? Okay.
Thank you so much.
President.
Councilmember Lewis?
Well, she mentioned my name.
She did mention your name.
She did mention my name, so I would like to respond. and ask a few questions?
No, we're not going to do a Q&A today, but Councilmember Lewis.
So I will say that when you were my council member, I remember how open you were as a council member and how I used to be at your house as a 5 and 6 year old. And so I never knew what you did for a living seriously, but I knew that you were making change in the community. And so do you think, this program, this training, do you think that elected officials should take it as well?
It's available to elected officials, public as well as non-elected as well as elected. Anybody who wants to really deal with community economics and economic development issues. I served as an economic development director for a city in my hometown, so that's my thing, and I'd love to train as many people as possible in this area. So yes, absolutely, elected officials.
Dr. Tinubu, thank you, Dr. Tinubu, for coming down here. Thank you for still living in our district. And we're going to try to fix your ATT issue that you have going on, your ATT
for 2 weeks now.
fiber issue that's going on here. Thank you.
If you can fix issues like that, I've got some near my house too, Councilmember Lewis.
Yeah.
Councilmember Waits.
Mr. President, thank you for your indulgence. I just simply wanted to just say again, thank you for your service to the city of Atlanta as well as the state of Georgia. I had the privilege of succeeding you as the state representative for District 60. And so your work, your legacy does not go unrecognized. And so thank you for being with us today. And I look forward to being a part of your program.
Thank you. And it was great being at the Jazz Festival with
Terrific.
you a few weeks ago.
Your headline next year. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much.
Next up will be Ron Shakur for 2 minutes.
Ron Shakir, Southwest Atlanta. This place is a special place where people gather to have their voices heard, to stand up for right and justice. And some fathers and their sons have occupied that seat today, like Bond and other people who have contributed. Martin Luther King is the city where he said something to the whole world about justice. Voices matter. Public access channel, People TV, has a program that has operated by way of the work of Jose Williams, have suddenly, under the leadership of a new guy, Byron Thomas, have gone black. Where is the voice of the council? Instead of dismissing public access, People TV, fix it. The history, the voices of justice matter, and it should not have been shut down without the engagement of an African-American leadership and Caucasian leadership in this city to have it shut down, Mrs. Norwood. The fact is that if we do not have a voice like People TV or public access, Ms. Norwood, please recognize that public access channel has been dismissed in the city of Atlanta, and I don't think that you were aware of it by a first-time employee by the name of Brian Thomas. Stand up for People TV. Jose Williams' voice mattered in the things they have worked for. And I also would like to say that Martin Luther King is a voice that should be heard in the city and continue to be lifted up. And the voices cannot be lifted up if the elected officials do not take the time to address the issues that the people are speaking from. And People TV was a vehicle in which the people could speak from. I think that got my time, but it's time to pay attention to what's going on, and I would hope that you would stand up and give People TV back their footing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be Nathan Knopf. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Hello, I'm a resident of District 2, and I'm a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. Right now, in Atlanta, rents are skyrocketing, working families are struggling to pay bills, our city employees, firefighters, emergency responders are understaffed and underpaid, and there's thousands of homeless Atlantans who need a safe place to sleep. But today, the mayor is asking you to approve a city budget which fails to address the basic needs of working people. You just approved $67 million for Cop City, and now APD is asking for another $11 million. So this council is poised to approve a 33% increase in police spending this year. This city is closing down hospitals while investing in training cops to kill people with a more sensitive attitude. Some may claim that we don't have the revenue or the means to address injustice and inequality in Atlanta, but in reality, we have scores of corporate office buildings and luxury apartments that are being consistently undertaxed. The 725 Ponce building, for example, is worth $300 million, but it's only being taxed as if it were worth $100 million, just 1/3 of its real market value. The truth is the city does have the power to tax the rich and raise millions of dollars in new revenue to fund the essential services that working people need. This city budget serves the rich and powerful and facilitates the exploitation and oppression of Atlanta's working class majority. For this reason, you should vote no and reject the mayor's budget. There's also a great amendment, my understanding it's being proposed today, that would allocate city funds to support abortion access. Working people in Atlanta and across the Southeast are still struggling to access reproductive health care because of Brian Kemp's abortion ban, for which there's no medical or moral justification. Because of these bans, getting abortion health care remains difficult and prohibitively expensive for many Atlantans who need to take costly out-of-state trips to get abortion care. The overwhelming majority of Atlantans support abortion rights and want to see their tax dollars used to fund health care for those in need. Please vote yes on today's amendment to fund, renew, and expand the Atlanta City Abortion Fund.
Next up will be Olivia Harrison. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Olivia Harrison, and I am a member of Atlanta's chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America. And I'm here today to urge you to pass the amendment to increase the Atlanta City Abortion Fund to $500,000. Since you voted to allocate $300,000 of city funds to ARC Southeast last year, organizers like myself have worked hard to fight the medically unnecessary and harmful abortion bans that went into effect in Georgia following the fall of Roe v. Wade. But it's going to be a long battle, and for now, those restrictions remain intact, making accessing reproductive care extremely difficult for many working people in Atlanta, especially the most marginalized and vulnerable among us. With Georgia's 6-week abortion ban in place, people are more likely to have to travel out of state to places as far as Maryland, D.C., Illinois, and New York to access abortion care, which leads to additional expenses. And research shows that 60% of people who have an abortion are already parents to one or more child. So childcare costs must also be factored in to those who are forced to travel to obtain abortions. ARC Southeast, Georgia's only abortion fund, helps alleviate the significant financial burden that comes with accessing abortions in our region, but it's your duty as Atlanta elected officials to do everything in your power to aid that work. A one-time donation of $300,000 to ARC Southeast is simply not enough. You must increase the Atlanta City Abortion Fund to at least $500,000 and commit to making it a recurring annual budget item. Our community is depending on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Tracy Thornhill. Up to 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Tracy Thornhill, Executive Director of ASME. Last couple of months, probably since January, I've been coming out here and I've been giving y'all a lot of grief, and I've been talking about the same thing, but let me be real clear when I say that this administration has been more accessible than any administration that I've worked under in the past 33 years. This administration, although I may not get everything that I want, I always get something that I want. And I do know that when you compromise, you can get more. And my whole deal here is that it may not be going as fast as I want it to go, but it's going in the right direction. So, City Council, I want to thank you. Mayor's office, I want to thank you. I didn't have much to say. I just felt the need to come here and say that today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next will be Henry Jordan. 2 minutes.
Giving honor to the Spirit of God, everyone that's here. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Matthew 18, chapter 6, verse. Offenses are viewed as a reality that must be accepted in the present world. But woe, the prophetic condemnation to death, to the one who is the source of the offense. When you intentionally place your behind in my face, you ask for death. When James Swift defrauded me, he asked for death. Wealth guided by vanity shall be diminished, but he that gathereth by labor shall increase. Proverbs 13, chapter 11, verse. A stark contrast in the prophets of wickedness and the prophets of righteousness. Nothing versus life. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews 11, chapter 1st, verse. Verse 1 is not so much as defining of what faith is, as it is a description of what faith does. Faith in Jesus' word created the income. Faith in your word did not create the income. Salvation is far from the wicked, for they seek not thy statutes. Psalms 119, chapter 155th verse. However, his adoration of the word always leads to its author who inspired it. I can't make myself righteous because I need to seek God to help me be righteous. The Lord will let me know that he's going to trouble Cop City to do the will of God, because the word that created the money promote righteousness, justice. He's going to be using me also in there also. I had expected that because I was trying to fight against Cop City.
Time has expired. Next up is Margie McLeod. 2 minutes.
Hey, I wish y'all give me rent control, City Council and the mayor. Can you put rent control on the ballot? Because last week I was down here and I got a phone call. People in my neighborhood, did you see the property tax? My 50% of property tax went up. Do y'all understand that? So that's why we must put rent control on the ballot, because seniors calling me. 50, even we got a senior discount, it's still not going to help us. Overstreet, that's in your district. It went sky high. Yes, and I need to talk to you, but we need rent control put on the ballot. If you gave him, give me, Miss Margie, because I've been out here a year. I want rent control on the ballot. We could do that, Shipman. We could do it. Don't say what you can't do. Keisha Wade, you ran and you didn't give up. Tony Lewis, you ran and you didn't give up. I'm not going to give up either, because I know our people need this. And then I have to put on my military hat on. The veterans, $15 million, yes, they need it. They shouldn't have you come down here and beg. Michael Barnes, thank you for inducing to put $15 million for the Veteran Memorial in Piedmont Park. We need it, because you don't want the females come down here, the veterans, okay? All right, so we gonna get $15 million for the veterans, because we need it. We deserve it. They fought for this war. They shouldn't have to come back and forth and ask you. So pass it. You pass everything else. $93 million, we ain't gonna talk about that for Cop City. That's a no-no.
Time has expired. Thank you. Next will be Alma Lott. Alma Lott. Next will be Madre Giles. 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, Council. I am Madre Giles, the Community Affairs and Political Affairs Director for the Federation of Georgia Public Service Employees. I come again to sound the alarm regarding the HR Commissioner, Tarlisha Smith. Despite her recent PR moves, we believe she is simultaneously giving city employees and the City Council the bird. Based on her conduct, Tarlisha Smith will ultimately be a liability for the city and an embarrassment. The time for her to stop playing games with the literal lives and quality of lives of our city employees has passed. Her refusal to adhere to the plain language of an ordinance sponsored by Boone, Bond, and Westmoreland and passed by the council on a 12-0 vote is the height of arrogance and affront to democracy. Then Councilman Dickens even voted for the ordinance. Tarlisha Smith has reportedly privately bragged that the city council is dumb. Someone from our office will soon begin to reach out to the council. On an unrelated note, I'm pleased to announce that the Georgia Federation of Public Service Employees, in partnership with the newly formed Political Action Committee, known as Atlanta on the Move, will be hosting a citywide town hall meeting. We believe this summer is a good time to take the temperature of the city. We would welcome the participation of the City Council and other community leaders, and I will be back to provide more information on this event for the council and our Atlanta City residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Ron Ali. Two minutes.
Good evening, council members. I always get thank you for your service when they see me with my cap on. So I'm thanking you for your service to this city, this county, and this state, and this government. 240 sons of Atlanta lost their lives in Vietnam from the city of Atlanta and Fulton County. When you go to Piedmont Park, you see a large monument to the pre-Civil War militia that later became soldiers in the Confederate Army. You see a monument to World War II pilots that gave their lives. And I think it's time that we give a memorial to the veterans, the ones that lost their lives in Vietnam. We are still suffering from diseases, and we're still dying in large numbers. So if you would, think about it, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. Next is Anthony M. I can't quite read the last name. Sorry. Tell us your last name.
Good evening. Anthony Merritt, Sons of Atlanta Vietnam Memorial. I'll be very brief. Yes, as you just heard, the 240-something guys that paid the ultimate price, they're recognized on the memorial in Washington, D.C. What we want to do is bring them home. They deserve a place here in the city where they lived and loved and grew and were educated. And so all we're asking for is that memorial be built in Piedmont Park to recognize the 240 sons of Atlanta that deserve to be brought home to the place that they loved, grew up, and called their home. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next will be Reverend Elton McGee.
Good afternoon. You know, war is an ugly thing, but it's not the ugliest thing. The degraded state of moral and patriotic feelings which think that nothing is worth war is much worse. I want to thank Councilman Bond and Councilman Norwood for the support that they have been giving this memorial. Now, this memorial is something that this city needs. This 240 young men were from 9 cities in Fulton County. We're not endorsing war. What we're doing we're calling for unity, a unity where we can invoke the spirit of duty and service that these young men died for and directed on the community that they came from. Every year, you get graduation from high schools in this city, young people going into the military. There's no city seal on a war memorial for the first integrated war that this country fought. It's time for us to heal and to unify for the nation that they served and died for. I'm asking you to fund the project. Just fund the project. And see the appreciation that you'll get from the veterans that serve. And I want to thank Brother Dozier for coming on our show. Councilman Bond, my councilman, he need to come on the show too, because we got veterans that are, in this city that are homeless, which is a shame. I'm a Grady baby. When I was growing up, there was no such thing as homeless veterans or homeless peoples in this city.
Time's expired.
That means that's the way we're doing business, and we need to stop doing business that way. I want to thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Jeremiah Jones. Due to yield to time, you'll have up to 4 minutes.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Jeremiah Jones. I'm here with Propel, ATL, and our many other constituents around the city, and we're here to lend our unwavering support of Councilmember Dustin Hillis's Ordinance 23-0-1300, which is a crucial step towards establishing the Atlanta Fatal Vehicle Collision Review Commission. Propel ATL's mission is to make Atlanta streets safe, inclusive, and thriving spaces for people to ride, walk, roll, and take public transit. For the past few years, Propel ATL has collaboratively conducted site visits to locations of fatal crashes involving people using sustainable transportation. We have walked alongside elected officials and ATL DOT staff, aiming to create an official city team dedicated to investigating these tragic incidents. Our goal is simple: identify street design issues and implement solutions to prevent fatal crashes. Atlanta isn't the first city to create a fatal crash unit. Indianapolis, Boston, New York, Denver all have fatal crash investigation units to help take a proactive step towards achieving their city's adoption of Vision Zero. The DOTs and the police departments collaborate to investigate recent fatal crashes, utilizing historical crash data to determine the most appropriate treatments, be it engineering, education, enforcement, or a combination of the three at the crash locations. Considering the rising number of traffic deaths in the U.S. cities that have adopted Vision Zero, compared to the decreasing number of deaths in European cities that have adopted Vision Zero, Atlanta must take decisive action to address these issues. Establishing the Atlanta Fatal Vehicle Collision Review Commission as part of our Vision Zero plan can foster a culture of accountability, investigation, and action. This commission can prevent tragedies, save lives, and create a city that prioritizes safety and the well-being of its residents. Together, we can move Atlanta forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be James Davenport. James Davenport, due to yield to time, you'll have up to 4 minutes.
Thank you for allowing me to be in your presence today. First, giving honor to God, who I oftentimes call my conductor. I don't have a PhD, but I do have a GOD. And all the time, every time I come down here, it's like shaky. First, let me ask this, since I've been begging you all to provide free Lyft rides for seniors, and all of you know that what I'm talking about, a model after the Fulton County program. Seniors have paid their dues. I mean, if you all could spend $67 million for a situation that you all can we could socially eliminate this problem. You can socially eliminate the problem without having to create situations as far as when Cop City is concerned. I've been asking for free lift rides for seniors, and Councilman Bart, last time I spoke to you about it here, you said that you were waiting on numbers. We got some numbers. And as to a situation that is dear to my heart, the first black park in Atlanta, it is sad. On one side, there are red markers leading from Lena Street to Ollie Street. You cannot park at Washington Park. First black park in the city of Atlanta. Are you all trying to send us a message? The very first black park in the city of Atlanta. Now I'll ask you, especially Councilman Amos, when was the last time you went to Washington Park? And I'm sure you've been there past couple of years, and the bathroom is awful. You have running water, smelling like urine, stepping in it every time you go in there. Every time. Now, I showed y'all pictures of Marta in the bathrooms on the black neighborhood side. It's sad that we have to go through stuff like this. It's very sad. My family, every 4th of July, we do our 4th of July event at Washington Park. We actually grew up across from the park. What did it take for you all to pay attention to people when they request of you? You know, I gave you all a picture of the Marta bathroom that's on the black lines or whatever. You all saw those pictures. I'm not going to repeat it. You saw it. Same situation we're dealing with at Washington Park. Same damn situation. It's sad, y'all. You can spend all this money on Cop City, but you cannot pay attention to what matters to people. I used to call Doug Voigt almost monthly. Now he's the Commissioner of Parks and Recreation. The bathroom people, the fire lanes running down one side at Washington Park. Come on, y'all, ain't nobody stupid. We had some people that was confronted a couple of weeks ago by the Atlanta police. Told them that they could not be in the park barbecuing. It's sad. It's sad, you all. It doesn't make sense. Y'all hear me saying over and over again the same thing. Please do something about this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Patricia Creighton. Due to yielded time, you'll have up to 10 minutes.
Hallelujah. Good afternoon, everybody. I just want to thank God and say I'm grateful to be here today. And I come before you asking that you be in the midst of your people, soften the hearts of those who have oppressed our free speech right. I am Patricia Creighton, Granny P, General Manager of People TV since 2016. I have been told that I've been the General Manager longer than anyone else to date. I'm not sure of that, but what I do know is that I know how to operate and do everything at People TV. No other general manager has been able to do that. I can produce, edit, record, program, and I can also do it. We have updated the equipment that we can do it remotely. I have my technician here today. He's going to actually go into details of all the things that we've done. We've heard what they said they wanted for this Atlanta Community Media Center, and we've been working on that. Now, anyone that is here that has been part of People TV, present, past, know somebody, heard about People TV, all the wonderful things we've produced in the past, please stand or hold your sign up. Please stand if you can. I sure would appreciate it. I don't see Amos standing up. He's been on People TV several times. Mr. Bond, Mary Norwood. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Now, thank you. You can have a seat. I appreciate you. 37 years. I would think 37 years of service would have an impact on this situation. Incidentally, we are in black. They have closed the door and shut them. They haven't closed the door, but they cut the people's TV, the voices of the people off. We are in black. When you bring new people into a sensitive situation and they violate our free speech right, that's not good. We have seasoned people that have been here through it all, and we have new people that have no idea what's going on. The ill treatment is horrid toward People TV compared to how other nonprofits are handled. We didn't get $63 million. They give us $180,000 a year, and I get $500,000 worth of headache of what we should be doing. What will become of public access television in Atlanta? I don't know. People TV did not know the channel would go black on June the 5th. We knew the contract ended on the 5th. We knew the city talked about putting out a request for a proposal, an RFP. We knew the city still held the option to renew our contract. Our attorney tried to negotiate a plan for a smooth transition so the station would not go black. If and when an RFP surfaced, that communication failed. The city actually stopped talking to our attorney. From past experience, the RFPs in the city of Atlanta, one would think lessons were learned. But wait, most of you were not here the last time, 2017. From what has transpired, and no council member knew the plan for the channel to go black. Well, no council person that I talked to, no one that called Dr. Wilson, our president, back. They said they did not know. One thing for sure, somebody knew. But 37 years of servicing the channel did not warrant a call to inform us. If an RFP surfaced tomorrow, it would take more than 30 days to execute it back to the people, to People TV one more time. Am I being presumptuous, thinking that it'll come back to us? I don't think so. The city of Atlanta and RFPs for the public access television herald titles of disaster. You don't see any change, and I don't see any change on how they're handling things right now. We're in black. The dragons People TV has had to sling since I've been general manager, the late payments, non-communication. People TV is the only part of the PEG, Public Education and Government Franchise Agreement, that is not fully funded. We are granted $180,000 a year, which $111,900 go to rent. The likes of Katrina Taylor Parks, Lanice Harris, Adrian Coleman Tyler, Howard Shooks, and Alex Wan. These are the people that I know has hindered People TV. When the naysayers can call every day, and sometime more than twice a day, complaining about People TV, the same people who are at that time held the position of general manager, Adrian Coleman. She used to be the general manager. She knows what the problem is at People TV. When I first became general manager, I asked her, anything you need down here, Adrian, come and get it. You know where it is better than me. She has never done that. But she come and criticize us all the time. Lanice Harris did not pay People TV for 9 months while we negotiated a contract in 2020, or was it 19? Anyway, we had not had a contract since 2013. We had been operating for years without a contract. And when we negotiated one, this is what happened. She held our money for 6 months. It takes time to enforce an RFP, which details the scope of the work that needs to be done, the transfer, the installation, the vote, all of that. It's going to take more than 30 days. People TV have heard the voices of what they want public access to look like. We are now HD, and I've got my technician, Colin, here to explain. We have not had air or heat at People TV since 2016. I worked there all those years with no heat or no air conditioning. We have heat and air conditioning now by the glory of God. I can't see where People TV is causing that. I'm sorry, go back a little bit. I saw the mayor the other day. He was out in the hallway taking pictures, and I walked up to him, and he was gracious enough to address me and speak to me. I asked him what did he want. He told me he wanted People TV to be digital. He also said that Comcast is losing customers every day. Comcast is losing customers from my standpoint because of the extremely high cost of cable, poor customer service, and no discount programs for our seniors. Mayor, you want champagne public access television on a beer budget. It is not going to happen. I understand if you put out an RFP, it will have more money in it and the renewal time will be longer. Why haven't People TV been offered that? We've been working for y'all for 37 years. You have never given us an opportunity or more money. Well, we did have more money, but I'm talking about since 2016. You have compared People TV to Philly Cam and other public access stations across the nation. That's like comparing apples to lemons. Those other Philly Cam budgets is 10 times more than People TV. What I want the city to renew our contract with an amendment to increase the allotment by $180,000. And I also want you to place people on the board. You have not put people on the board in over 10 years. How can we function if we don't have a working board? We need people there that are admirable, that can raise money to keep us sustainable. It won't happen without y'all help. What have People TV done? And why haven't we not been given a chance to correct anything that you think we've done wrong? Yes. Is there an appeal process? How do we contact Comcast mediators for a hearing and an appeal? My understanding is if there is an RFP put out, you would award them more money in longer time. Give us that chance, please. Let me say this and I'm going to sit down. One who is connected to the energy source is more powerful than a million who are not. And two who are harmoniously focused and connected to the energy stream brings about a co-creative endeavor that cannot be matched by anything else on this universe. I have people standing here with me. People TV is more than one. So we are a force that can't be reckoned with. And I, again, want to address you and let you know that even though you think you are in control, it's still the creator. The creator is in control. The creator didn't put me at People TV 6 or 7 years ago for nothing. I had no idea. They didn't give me any instructions on how to do anything. I've been learning all on myself. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Lawrence Huey. Next will be. Thank you, Councilmember Bond. Lawrence Huey.
President Shipman, we didn't hear you.
Lawrence Huey. Lawrence.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, Laverne, I'm sorry, Ms. Laverne Huey, I'm sorry. I'm just reading here and I'm not looking at it correctly.
That's okay.
You have 2 minutes.
Error is human. I am Laverne Huey, a native of Atlanta, a graduate of Douglas High School, and a resident of Collier Heights. I want to thank you all for having this voice box for us who are grassroots as well as all superstars in our communities, to have this opportunity to speak with Council President Doug Shipman and everybody else on the council. And I'm so sad that Michael just walked out. But I just wanted to say, on the behalf of the city of Atlanta, we need a television station like People TV. Amen. As simple as it said, everybody doesn't have the flexibility or the know-how to be on, quote, regular TV or cable TV. And everybody is not savvy as far as digital and social media, etc. People TV is needed in this city, the city too busy to hate, the cradle of civil rights. I am sure all of our forefathers and foremothers are up in heaven looking down saying, we need access for all people to express ourselves, to see what the doers, the givers, and the takers are doing around the communities. So on a note, we cannot let People TV stay in the black. And that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Colin Cooney. You'll have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Colin Cooney. I'm an audiovisual technician and installer. I met Patricia in March to do some repairs to her system, and when I walked in there, I couldn't believe how they were producing their television on such old equipment. For a long time, that equipment would have been, practical, but these days everything's digital, and so, but at the same time, it was extremely expensive to go digital for a long, long time. Thankfully, recently we've been able to get those prices down, and we were able to install all new HD switchers for not only producing new content, but also to broadcast. And prior to the station going dark, we were actually in talks with Comcast in order to move to the digital equipment that they had to install in order for us to broadcast digitally. We were ready to do it. All the equipment's been purchased, it's all been installed, it's ready to go. All we need is Comcast to actually come in and do their thing so that we can send a digital signal from the equipment that we've installed. We even upgraded their online streaming to be completely 1080p digital. So we're ready. We want to be on the air. We did all this work kind of like at the last minute, not knowing that this was going to even happen, but it happened without us even being informed. And so all we want is our ability to go back on the air and to do it the right way and to bring more people in, especially with the new technology. So thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be Nate Bailey. Due to yielded time, you'll have up to 10 minutes.
Afternoon, Council. Nate Bailey, President of Atlanta Professional Firefighters. Just want to give some general comments and some data on the firefighters' pension. But first, I want to thank the administration and this council for the continued investment in our apparatus, facilities, and of course, our training. Last year, when I came down here, we were in a different space. The relationship wasn't as strong as it is now, and honestly, I didn't know how it was going to work out last year, but I'm very grateful for the mayor, the administration, certainly the chief of staff, and the whole cabinet, for the mayor for really giving us that time to come up with an agreement, because we really needed it, and it definitely helped us. I also want to thank Councilmember Boone for the workers' comp legislation. I know we're still working on it with the administration, but I know we'll be able to get something put forward soon. And also, Councilmember Amos, thank you for the firefighter memorial. We greatly appreciate that. So when we talk about the pension, in 2009 and 2010, we had the housing crisis. Stock market tanked. Cities and counties across the country had to come up with a way to relieve debt, protect their credit, and balance budgets. So cities and counties chose to reform pension for employees, and that included firefighters. We fought against it. We lost that battle. But honestly, we didn't know how it was going to work out. We didn't know how it was going to end up with the hybrid pension, where you have a 1% multiplier and then the 401. And at first, it seemed to have worked. In 2012 and 2013, we were fully staffed. We had 5 on an engine, 4 on a truck, and this lasted until 2015. Things were looking good. And then they hit that 5-year mark where they got vested. And that's when we seen a massive bailout of firefighters. We had 400 resignations between 2015 and 2020, the majority of those being between 2017 and 2020. They got their contributions, they got vested, and then they started shopping around for the next employer. The best analogy is from a firefighter. He said, on a pension, we're married, you've got me for life. You know what date I'm going to leave. With the hybrid or the 401, they're just dating you until someone else comes along. And that's true. We're seeing it all over the country. Cities and counties are now going back to the pension. And, we want to get that loyalty back. We want that 30-year loyalty firefighter. And it will also help with salaries, because cities and counties that don't have the true defined benefit, the salaries are all over the place. They're having to compete with everyone for workers. So you'll see a sudden jump in salaries. Other places, it's more moderate and it's much easier to budget, and they don't have the overtime expenses like cities and counties do that just have the 401. Locally, Smyrna and Hateville went back to a defined benefit recently. The good news for Atlanta is if we do this, and we hope that y'all do, we're going to keep pushing. Every finance and public safety, you're going to hear us talk about the pension. We can get ahead of the game because there's so many large departments in Georgia that switch to the 401. So if we get ahead of the game and we're on the front of this, we can take great firefighters that are already trained and bring them into our organization, and we can quickly fill those vacancies that we have. What we're seeing is about a 10% or less vacancy rate for those that have a defined benefit pension. Those that are 401 or a hybrid, it's much higher than 10%. And pay really isn't the variable. There are some departments that have less pay, but they have the defined benefit, and some of them have 0 vacancies. What happens is once they get enough years on, you know, they used to call it the golden handcuffs, I guess. I just got familiar with that term recently, but once they're locked in, they're there for life, and it's easy for administrations to project retirements. It's very difficult now because you don't know when someone's going to take their contributions and seek employment elsewhere. The telltale to us, the real reason that this is going to take off nationwide is Jacksonville was the only major city to go to a straight 401, and they were doing a 25% match, I believe, on a 10% employee contribution, which is outrageous. You would think no one would leave. Well, now they're seeing people take those contributions and go elsewhere, and now they're not having the applicant pool, because in Florida you have to be certified already before you can apply. People are going to where they get the defined benefit. Firefighters just want to know the date they can retire. The body only lasts so long. After you do 30 years on a fire truck, you know, you're ready to step away, and knowing the date you can retire is huge. Other major cities that have returned back to a defined benefit, Memphis and Lexington. There are other cities and counties in the metro area that are talking about it. I think our administration might be ahead of the game because they're actually doing the study. The way we see it, if you are willing to do the study, then we're at least willing to look at it and see what can be done. Again, for firefighters, this is just notes that some of the guys gave us. We work a total of 3 years more in a 30-year career than the average office employee. 3 total years. We work 56 hours a week, the office employees 40. Right now we're averaging 80 hours a week because most firefighters at least work 1 overtime shift a week with our vacancies. Add in that we live 10 years less than the average American, and we're 3 times more likely to die of cancer than the average worker.